Hello and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Waymark. Today's edition or today's episode is going to be a little bit of a different one. We're not going to talk much about the stock market or what's going on in Washington or taxes or anything like that. But again, kind of elaborating on some themes that we've had in the past, which is getting to know the team a little bit better. And today we're going to talk about something that's going on with Brandon. Brandon is currently studying very hard for his Certified Financial Planner designation, or CFP. So in a little while, Brandon will have a CFP after his name. But first, before he does it, he's had to do a lot of things to get prepared for the exam, which is a 10-hour exam, Brandon. Is that right?
I think they got give me six. They cut it down. I got to do it in 6 hours now.
Okay. Well, when I took it back in the day, it was 6 hours day one, 4 hours day two, split with a lunch break between it to put 3 hour blocks for day one. But sounds like it's a 6 hour straight for you test.
Three and three. Three lunch
Okay.
hours and three.
Okay, got it. So it's easy. So he'll get it. But what I wanted to do is kind of just explain Brandon's journey and ask him a few questions about the CFP, again, Certified Financial Planner designation. In our industry, that's considered kind of the gold standard. You know, when you get that and you have that CFP after your name, at least it indicates that you spent hours upon hours studying for this, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So Brandon, can you elaborate any more on the CFP? Like, well, what is it and what's it all about?
Yep. Well, obviously, you already just gave the designation, but the exam itself is comprised of six kind of key areas or key spots that they focus on. One is general principles, two is insurance, three is investments, four income taxes, five would be retirement planning, and six would be estate planning. There's other kind of some sets of those, but those are the high level areas. But not only does it focus on the exam, obviously, once you pass the exam, which I plan to do shortly, it's followed by a ongoing commitment set to the CFP board who puts on the exam, and they set out and enforce these different standards for the certification that you have to abide by, obviously holding professionals to a higher standard with regards to ethics, duties of care to each other advisors, other professionals, as well as to our clients, and loyalty and integrity as well.
So, Brandon, I'm curious, and I'm going to make you go off script for a second because I know Brandon's written down all of his answers to these questions. It is fiduciary. What's the deal with the fiduciary standard when it comes to CFP?
Fiduciary is always putting your client first, or whoever you're working on behalf of, would be putting someone else first, above and beyond your own personal gain, I guess. So putting the client first in all aspects uh, of uh, of whatever you're dealing with. So
Yeah,
like,
so one of the key pieces of having the CFP is that because of the strict ethics standard, we have to operate as fiduciaries, whereas folks that don't have the CFP don't necessarily always have to do so. I have my own personal opinions about that, and I will keep them to myself. But needless to say, I very much support the CFP requiring that those that have the CFP mark operate as a fiduciary. Okay, question two, Brandon. What's involved with earning your CFP, and how's the journey been?
well, I will say in short, it's been a lot of studying. So a lot of reading, a lot of materials. My wife kind of yells at me constantly because I have my books all over the place. So it's not just one book, set it and forget it. There's multiple books, as I mentioned about previously. There's multiple modules or areas. So I have a book, at least one book per each. But
And
it's been
how many modules, Brandon, again?
six,
Six. Okay. So six
six
separate books that you have to know cover to cover.
cover to cover, plus all the quizzes, exams, case studies. So there's more than six books, we'll put it that way. So along with all this studying, obviously lots of reading involved. It's just been long days, long nights, weekends, Friday nights, Saturday nights, Saturday mornings. We've had classes, long days from 8 a.m. to sometimes 7 p.m. So just a lot of time, a lot of stressful times as well. But it's been very eye-opening. And what I mean by that, there's been in my studies a lot of aha moments, meaning once we're reviewing a certain section, I'll be looking at it like, oh, that's what Brendan was talking about. Oh, that's what the attorney mentioned. Or when we work with accountants, I say, oh, okay, now that it makes sense. That's why we want to do what we do for that client. So it's definitely been an eye-opening experience.
Got it. So what's one of the things that you've learned in this journey that you've had?
What I've learned is that the CFP is all around. The only problem is I wasn't really privy to all the information. So stuff kind of went above my head in meetings, that I kind of just mentioned with Brendan or attorneys. But now that I know this information, it's all kind of fitting in like a giant puzzle. So there's little pieces, and now I'm learning how they all kind of fit together in one nice little neat little box.
Cool. What's been the most difficult part?
Difficult is obviously there's a lot of material, so there's a lot of stuff. But the tricky part is remembering not so much the rules, it's usually the exception to the rules or the small special circumstances. Uh, Example is, a spouse who doesn't have a 401k, but their other partner does. You might think, oh, well, they can just contribute to a traditional IRA account and get the tax deduction. However, the little rule is that if they make too much money, that gets phased out and they can no longer get that deduction. So again, you have to remember all the rules and look at the big picture to figure out when it comes into play.
Got it. All right, final question before we wrap this thing up. So Brandon, you have a wife at home, you got two little ones. You have a pretty busy household. So why in the world would you want to take the CFP, and why did you want to earn it?
Yep. You also forgot about the two dogs, one being
Yep,
a
two
puppy that we
dogs, that's
just got
right.
a few months
And a
ago as
puppy.
well. So on top of all that, yes, it's definitely a lot. But for most people who know me, I see myself as pretty analytical. And, I tend to ask the whys behind a lot of things. So I felt that by getting my CFP, I'll be able to kind of expand my knowledge on not just doing the smaller piece, but again, seeing the bigger picture. And by getting it, I can help bridge those little gaps and actually understand the whys behind everything that we do and why they all fit together. And obviously, this will eventually just all fit together and help us better um, uh, give better results to our clients. So better
Got it. Cool.
help them out
All
with
right.
their goals.
Well, those are all my questions, Brandon. Thank you for being our guest today. Hanifa is taking a test, not the CFP, but some of the beginning tests to actually be able to give advice, the Series 7 and the Series 66. So we'll probably have a future video with her, featuring her and her journey on educational excellence. One of my clients actually joked with me that I run a tight ship here at Waymark, but I think that both Brandon and Hanifa are both on the more analytic side, and they like to know the whys behind everything. So it's good that both of them have taken the bull by the horns, and they're trying to expand their knowledge and give the best advice to our clients. So that's all we had for this week. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.